Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guests tonight are writers and director Brett Brooks and Jason Sheedy. How's it going?
Going great. Brett, how are you tonight?
Yeah, Brett, how are you tonight?
Dude, I'm living the dream, man. I'm just happy to be here.
Right. Every night living the dream, man. Every night.
Hey, that's my kind of people.
Dude, I just smashed a plate of chicken tenders. Let's go.
All right, let's talk about your horror comedy short, The Mages of Rage and the Desecration of the House of Mimicry. Did I say that right?
Every syllable was on point.
All right. Man, first of all, I want to tell you something, man. I couldn't stop laughing so hard. This was such an original horror comedy I've ever seen. And so far this year, this has been my favorite short.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. And
you flatter us. Thank you.
Oh, I'm not trying to flatter or blow sunshine up your guys' asses. I really thought it was funny. The movie's about, the Mages of Rage, which is Ripper, which is played by you, Brett. And then you have Johnny Buzzsaw, and then of course Kevin, and you guys go to a punk legend's house, Timmy Slit, unaware that that's his house where you're trying to make a music video. So how did you come up with this type of idea for a story like that?
Jason, you want to tackle that one?
I'll tell the first part, and then you can jump in, because that's pretty much what happened. Brett was coming over and hanging out. It was me, Brett, and Matt. Matt's our other kind of creative partner. We've done quite a bit of shorts together, but he plays Kevin in the film and also shot the film. But we were all hanging out one night, having some old fashions, and we were talking about how much of a good time we had at the Midnight Madness for Film Quest, was a festival we had previous films at, and we were like, we got to do a Midnight Madness movie. And I've always been in love with like the marriage of like horror and like punk and metal and like that kind of vibe. And I was like, I want to do something like that. Let's do something where this punk band goes to a house and something happens. And then Brett pops in and
I said, can we put a mime in it?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, it was like, wait a second, loud music and this like icon of silence. That's a beautiful matrimony of just like, it's going to make us seem like this was way more involved, like symbolically. Right. And it is. I mean, it absolutely is. There's a lot of heavy symbolism. So. Yeah.
Oh, I love the music in it. It just reminded me of my punk youth back in the California days. And I want to say, Brett was the man. That guy was shredding on that guitar a little bit too, man, and getting into the drums. So, are you a musician, or did you like learn a little bit to make it like you were doing something in this film?
No, I think let me see the best way that I can articulate this. I think the best way to label me is an actor, because I did not play a lick of guitar in this movie. So Jason has a very astute way of editing things together. That was actually Jason's hands playing the guitar.
Oh, really?
So every close-up insert of the guitar was Jason. The close-up inserts of the drums were a combination between myself and Devin. But yeah, I picked up guitar 3 times and I put it down 3 times. I just never had the discipline to learn it. But the drums I learned enough to sell it for the film. But yeah, Jason steps in and he like kind of picks up the slack where I'm lacking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now let's talk about the crazy demon mine, which was played by Chris Mayers. That dude nailed it, and I don't know how he did it. The mannerisms, everything. It seemed like he was like. He must have been living that character 24/7 before he was being shot on film.
Well, it's funny because Jason knew Chris. I didn't actually know Chris before we got on set. And what was the story you told me, Jason? Like you were going to offer him a role, but there was like...
Yeah, long story short, Chris and I met at SCAD, which is that's where Brett and I met, Savannah College of Art and Design down in Savannah, Georgia. So we all met there. I never really worked on a film project with Chris, but I just kind of knew, and he was kind of growing in the Atlanta film scene here. And like right when we started talking about movies, he was like the first person I pictured, because he's a great actor, but he can be very animated. He's got a lot of range. So we thought that would be something fun to play with, where this mime is just like, he's here and he's there. And, but the funny, I guess, aspect was that, we had not worked on a film together, and it was like, oh, we're finally going to work on something together. And it's like, here's a role. You don't have any lines, So, just like, thanks, man. But he did great. I mean, I think every aspect of the film, as far as like, needing to believe people were playing the instruments with Brett, and like, just being able to like make you believe that, and then having somebody like Chris come in and knock it out of the park with just being as wild as he could be with that. I think it all kind of married together quite nicely. So yeah, I like it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, you can tell Chris was having the ball. And the thing I liked about the mime thing was he was using mime weapons like a bow and arrow. And then the one funny part I liked where he was acting like he was mowing somebody over with an imaginary lawnmower and you see blood flying everywhere. That was classic.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun coming up with like the kills and stuff. And we went back and forth. I remember, Brett, I think you and I had a conversation about like really trying to figure out, like, initially there was going to be no sound on the weapons. And then like we were like putting it together, it was just kind of lame. Like you're just like, oh, this needs to have like a you want to hear the chainsaw. And like, even if you can't technically see it, it felt a little too like quiet, I guess, without it. But I don't know, Brett, what was your favorite like kill in the movie, or one that we came up with?
Oh man. The jackhammer was fun. I think my favorite kill was the noose.
Oh yeah, that was funny because he was imaginary hanging one of the extras up, and he's all sitting there like this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun one. And then Jason, and to segue a little bit, Jason took care of a lot of the visual effects for the film, if not all of them, right?
Yeah, all of them on this one. So
it was a marriage of practical stuff and then like green screen, digitally compositing all this stuff together. So it was quite a bit of a challenge.
I bet it was. It looked like it, because I was going to ask you guys how you did that too. And another thing that was pretty good is I love how you had the extras show up. That was so funny. All the kills the mime did to all these extras was priceless. And then you see these extras, where Ripper and Ripper's like, man, you shouldn't be here, man. You should be leaving. And they're like, oh, we're the extras. We're going to stay here. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh. And I just love how you just demolished the extras. It was so funny.
They were fun. I think they were also kind of an excuse to like plug in some, funny gore, some funny.
Yeah, up the body count and find a way to like, because it's like you're having a movie about a mime that has invisible weapons. It's like you want to see him use a bunch of invisible weapons. So that was a fun way to like figure that out. But yeah, we also like, because we were sort of inspired from film festivals to make this, we kind of made it for that audience, like knowing that, there was going to be people with film knowledge. And I mean, the whole film, every decision we made, I feel like was, when Brett and I were writing, it was like, we'd write a line and be like, actually, will an audience like that? No, let's change that. Like, that's funnier. An audience will, crack up at that. And that's kind of how we dictated, like, the creative choices, was just like, every turn of the script was like, how can we make this more fun for people to sit and watch? So, right.
Oh, it was fun. And I love the part where, I like the weapons room. You guys had so many different weapons to use. It felt like I was getting ready to watch a Gladiator movie. I mean, there were so many weapons on the wall. I was like, damn.
No, we had a good time. Brett put in a ton of work with that. Kim, who actually is the lady that gets hanged, or the extra that gets hanged. She was actually the production designer for the film, and it's actually her house we were shooting in. Everybody's one big happy film family, but it was... that probably took like a week, Brett, right? Just to kind of go through, in terms of like making stuff safe to film and filling up the wall, really.
There was a couple trips to the Home Depot to figure out, like, we would walk to the Home Depot and like not know what a tool did, but it just looked dangerous. So we were like, let's put it in the cart. And then we would bring it back to the place, and we actually stained like leather sheets, and then we like cut them in straps to hang the weapons from the wall. So that entire thing, I think it took a week. And actually, we shot this film. What was it? 2 days in one weekend, and then like a pickup day on another weekend.
Yeah, so like we basically shot like everything that wasn't the. Well, I guess I want to spoil it, so I won't say that part.
Don't spoil it.
I think it was like 5 days total, like two weekends, and then like an extra pickup day or something.
Right, but what the funny thing is that when we hung all the weapons for the initial shoot, they just ended up hanging in Kim's house for like a month and a half.
Oh, right. Kim was a very good sport about.
Yeah, because we didn't want to rehang everything because it was such a hassle, and it was such a fragile situation because like if you bump the wall, a shotgun would fall off or a chainsaw blade or something. So Kim was just living in a house of death for like a month and a half until we got ready to find the next pickup date.
Oh man, the another epic part that I love too is where the dead band members had that challenge against, the demonic mime, and you guys, they're like playing real life the music, and the mime, he's just all silent, shooting these silent sound waves back. It was just like an epic battle, between good and evil, punk rock versus demonic silent rock.
Yes. I think that was our like Scott Pilgrim moment.
Oh yeah,
it was Scott Pilgrim versus Nightmare on Elm Street or versus Evil Dead was kind of our sort of like film model mantra.
Yeah, I was going to get ready to say that it did have some, Scott Pilgrim vibes in it too, which I, thought was pretty cool. And the other part, I'm not going to rent for everybody too. And I like the scene when the camera guy finally showed up. That was just funny.
Oh yeah. Who actually is our assistant camera operator?
Yeah, he actually was a camera operator. So he went full method on that one. He did a great job.
He sure did. I mean, just the look on his face, he comes in and is like, okay, what's going on here? And, he's just like tripping out. It's like, is he really seeing the band members there or he's not? It's all in his, like imagination. That's how I got it.
No, he pulled it off perfectly. He did just the right amount of like subtle. I was like, man, Joe, you're a pro. So.
Yeah. I like how you talked a little bit about Timmy Slit, like how he died, with his guitar, with his bleeding fingers, with the blood on the guitar. I think it would have kind of been a little cool if he did a little bit more of an origin story, how that all happened when he started bleeding his guitar. That would have been cool, see how he really, like died and became that mime.
Well, we may plug that into the feature script. That may be some mythos that we introduce in a longer form story.
Oh, I hope you guys do a feature film because I'll be sold. I would like to see a full feature film and a little origin story of Timmy Slit, man. That would be just so freaking cool, man. And that guitar.
We would love to do a feature of this. It'd be a lot of fun.
I think so too. I think the movie was like it was a bloody fun time, and I loved the punk rock music in it too. It was pretty good, and I also liked how you guys edited the film too. I mean, there was some good editing in it too.
Yeah, that's all Jason.
Yeah, because I'm a sucker for like good editing in films and like cinematography, but you guys did a pretty good job on the editing, which I kind of liked when I was watching the film.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. The film reminded me of going to a mom and pop video store and seeing that movie and going home and watching it. It kind of reminded me of like a 80s, 90s, mom and pop video rental movie.
Well, I mean, we both come from that era, so that tracks.
Hey, I came from that era too.
That's perfect. That's the best review we could get for something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt, because I'm like you. I came from the same era too. You go to the movie store. I love the mom and pops because you can find some interesting, weird stuff, man. You can like look at the art on the box and be like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to watch it. And you go home, it could be like completely crappy or cheesy good.
Right.
Oh, that's what I loved about going to the video stores as a kid. Like I picked out, like video games. Like my folks would take me to we had a real small corner place downtown where I grew up, and like there's this really tiny, just a few shelves, and like I would strictly go in and pick something out, like movie, video game to watch for the weekend. And I always still cracks me to this day, like just the epic box art that like the SNES games had and like all that stuff. But back then I was like, I remember the first time I popped in Turtles in Time and SNES, I about had a heart attack on the floor because I was like, the graphics are insane. So like, I don't know. I think there's certainly some like alert of like nostalgia and like tapping into that a bit with like some 80s throwback, whether it's like the sound design or the visuals and stuff, and then trying to like, make the jokes and stuff snappy enough that it, works for a modern audience, and taking it seriously enough to come out of something with something, professionally made, but keeping it silly, to have a good time.
Yeah, I like how you went by kind of like a Midnight Madness type of film. It's kind of reminds me of one of those type of films you would stay up late at night and watch it on, like at USA's Up All Night, something crazy.
Oh, yeah.
With a good old...
No, for sure.
Yeah. That's
we got... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
No, so we got... I have to say this because it was just such a cool moment for us. And unless, Brett, do you want to tell the story of the Full Circle?
I'm not
sure.
Where,
as far as wanting to do it because of the screenings at FilmQuest, and then...
Oh, yeah. So we went to a film festival that Jason mentioned earlier called FilmQuest. And it's in Provo, Utah, which is at, 20 miles outside of Salt Lake City. It's a genre-specific film festival. It's all horror, but it's multi-faceted horror. So you got body horror, you got thriller horror, sci-fi horror, heady horror. But on is it Friday or Saturday night or Sunday night they do it?
Thursday night at midnight, I believe.
Okay, it all blurs together when you're there.
Yeah, it does.
So Thursday night at FilmQuest in Provo, Utah, it starts at around 11.
Something like that, yeah.
It's all the you've got an hour to an hour and a half block of just like frenetic horror films, just off the rails. Like there's no rules, no holds barred, crazy stuff. It's in the vein of like Tucker and Dale versus Evil,
nice.
Slither. Help me out. Like, give me some other crazy ones. Just anything just like hyper bloody.
Ooh.
And they're serving like cider and pizza, and it's basically a slumber party. So it's kind of a lock-in. Think about like your youth group church lock-in, but like there's no religion.
And there's very R-rated horror films. And booze.
You know something? I need to make a trip one year to check that out. That's my type of scenery.
You need to, man. It's a really good film festival. So you're packed in there with 100 to 150 people. It's sweaty, it's hot. People are coming in their pajamas, and you're just kind of like barreling through this block of films. So when we got back from FilmQuest, we had a blast doing it. We went this past year as well.
Yeah.
Just when Mages premiered, and this kind of goes back to what Jason was saying. We were at his condo in Atlanta, and he said, "Man, I really want to do a Mages or a Midnight Madness film." And we actually had another movie on cue to film,
okay,
but we decided to sideline that for this one, and that's when he was like, okay, I got this concept. It's really loose. A punk band goes to a Victorian home. They want to record a music video, and just stuff happens. And that's when the whole mime thing happened, and then we just kind of like ran with it. So the film was actually produced for specifically that film festival.
That's pretty wild. So how did the audience of the different festivals take your film? Did they really like love it, and they were in love with it, or what?
Well, I haven't. Jason, have you been to any other festival that's shown it except for FilmQuest, other than FilmQuest? Right?
I have, and I think in general the reception's been really good. I mean, FilmQuest the conditions were perfect because, like Brett said, it's a room full of 100, 150 people. It's late at night. Like, people are there because they know what kind of movies they're about to get into. You throw some pizza and beer into the mix, and all of a sudden you've got a group that's as riotous as the movies that are playing on screen. So yeah, I think as far as we were concerned, and to me as a filmmaker, that's the best thing you can ask for, is to watch your film with an audience. Like, because I know some people don't like to watch their stuff. I'm one of those guys where I want to be in the theater. Like, I don't want people to know I'm there. I just want to be in the theater, and I want like that candid. How are the jokes landing? Is this scary? Is this silly? Like, did that not land? And I think thankfully everything that we had wanted to be a joke or funny, like, people laughed at. And like, it's interesting too, because some of the stuff you think is going to like kill is like just kind of like a chuckle. And then other stuff that's just like a passing joke, like, people are losing it over. But then that changes, festival to festival. And I think that's one of the coolest parts of the festival process, is getting to see how different audiences taking your film. And I don't know, you can learn from that and things, but they liked it enough that we actually won. We were one of 2 films that there was a tie. We won Best Comedy. So that was really cool. Best Short Comedy at Film Quest. So
that's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it again over at Whorehound Film Festival, which is a great film festival outside of Cincinnati. And it's going to be neat to, to watch it with some other horror fans, and just look at their faces, with all the laughter and, all the different, mannerisms on their face about watching this fun film.
You'll have to let me know. We're bummed that we can't go. So, I've always known about Horrorhound, so the fact that we can't make it is really sad. But yeah, just to even get into it, it's like, oh man, it just putting those laurels on just feels awesome. So, yeah.
It'd be funny if you guys went to the festival, to show your film. You should have dragged Chris and have him dressed as a mime at all these festivals and just let him be in character.
The cosplay potential is, yeah.
It's funny you say that because so me and Jason went to Film Quest this past year, and Matthew Noonan, the DP, and Kevin.
Yeah.
Couldn't make it, and we talked about doing that. We actually talked about showing up for the Midnight Madness premiere in full garb as the characters.
That would be pretty wild, and then have Chris come to garb, and then have Chris, point out the audience and act like he's like throwing imaginary knives and everything at the audience and let the audience play along. That would be cool.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I would love it. I'd be looking at Chris go, Chris, give me all what you got, man. What weapon you going to use on me? I'll stand right here.
I'm sure he would get creative with it, too. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So, yeah, consider that idea stolen.
All right, good. And let me know if you guys do it, and I'll be like, hey, that was my idea.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of giving credit where credit's due. So,
hey, I'm the same. I'm the same way. I love to support my indie filmmakers, especially in horror. I just love it because you guys really, come up with some great ideas. You guys really put your blood's heart and soul into making these films. There's some really great ones, and there's some really ones it's like, what did I just watch? But I just love indie horror, and it's
made a few of those.
Yeah, and I have too, but and it's so great because now you're seeing more indie horror coming to the big screen, like what you had with Terrifier 2, Winnie the Pooh, and I like to see more indie horror films like that get onto more of the big screens.
No, it's wild. It's really cool how horror has. I don't know. It feels like a genre that's never really going to go away in the sense where, from an indie perspective, it just always feels like more accessible than having to go hire an A-lister to sell your comedy or your drama script. And I just think as far as the audience is just so crazy, attached to the idea of genre storytelling. And I grew up a fan of it. I've always been a fan of it. I always will be. And it's fun. They're not only fun to watch, but I think they're really fun to make as filmmakers too. And we always have a good time with them. So when you guys are not making films and having the ball, what does Jason and Brett like to do besides writing and filmmaking? Do you guys have a geeky, nerdy passion you love too as well besides, filmmaking? Take me there, Brett. What do you have?
My hobby became my passion, and my passion became my profession, and they're all kind of, intertwined at this point. So, when I'm not I'm working. I'm an illustrator by trade. So, I've worked on comic books. I've worked on children's books. I've got 2 graphic novels that I've done. So I'm never not working on something in the creative field. I'm not out there flying kites or making paper airplanes. I'm kind of addicted to this whole thing of whatever facet that is, whether it's acting, whether it's writing, whether it's illustrating. It's like I said, it's sort of this line of Coke on the coffee table. I can't stop doing that.
Okay, Jason, what about you, brother?
Man, flying kites and making paper airplanes.
Just for the record, I've never done cocaine off a coffee table. That was just a knee-jerk analogy that came to mind.
You know, I know how
your head disappears from frame.
I know where Brett got that idea from. He was watching too much Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. No, I think Brett couldn't have said it any better. Like I'm the same way. Like I'm an editor by trade, so I work for a commercial production company here in Atlanta. Do everything from short range commercials to like long form television. Short range commercials. I don't know if that's sure. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, if I'm not, working or making a film, I'm a musician. I do like to, write music. We have a band. Brett's he's part of it. It's like a sort of like a fake band. Like, we don't like tour or anything. It's just something. It's like a moniker or whatever, just to like write music and put it on Spotify. But it's called Johnny Angel and the Spookies, and it's sort of like the idea was. I loved all the horror songs that came out of like the 80s, like the end credits. Yeah. There would always be some awesome, like, I think like the Ramones and Pet Sematary, or like any song from Return of the Living Dead, or so it was kind of like trying to not necessarily replicate, but be inspired by that sort of style of music. So we've done some tracks together on that. So that's kind of like, if I'm not working on film stuff, I really like doing the music stuff just to kind of keep stretching those creative muscles, and it's all fun. So.
And just to piggyback on that, Robin, the vocals that you hear in Mages of Rage is myself, Jason, and Matt.
Hell yeah!
You're saying so. Yeah. So the drums are Garage Band's auto drums. I play guitar and bass. Noonan did. Everybody's saying we all came over one night and tracked the vocals. Noonan did learn the bass line for the part as well. So, I mean, we tried to make sure we learned everything enough and obviously Brett doing his research and taking those initial drum lessons just to make sure like everything felt real. Cause I feel like you can always tell. And I mean, me being a musician, like, sure, I can look at it and go, oh, that's not that's the hi-hat, not this or whatever. But, I think for the most part too, like what Brett could do so well that, I struggle with. Cause again, I acted in this. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes because to me, I'm the weakest link in the movie, which is why I get killed off immediately. But it was something we wanted to just do as like a friend group, just to all be a part of it. But yeah, when you see like, Brett on the drums, like smashing it away, I'm like, he's sweating, he's turning red, he's getting all into it. I'm like, see, that's why you do this and I don't. But I was like, but I can play the guitar. Ooh, look at me, Brett. Look at my fingers.
So where can everybody find you on social media to see what you guys are doing next?
Oh shoot! Actually, I gotta look mine up.
I might too. I feel like the one I'm the most active on is Instagram, because it goes with my childhood mantra of I don't want to read the books. I just want to look at the pictures. Yeah. You go ahead, Brett. I'm still looking for mine.
So Instagram, I've got two. You can go to my website, brettbrooks.com, BRETTBROOKS.com. And that's got my Instagram link on there. Or if you want to look me up on Instagram, it's just BRETTBROOKS.
Look at Jason. He's still going, come on, man. Jason, you're a professional, man. Come on, chop.
Just barely. I have a website. It's Jason M. Sheedy, jasonmsheedy.com. And then I have an Instagram, which is just at Jason M. Sheedy. So, those are pretty much the two things I'm active in. You can watch all the previous films we've done on my website, or if you know or aware of Dust, their YouTube channel, they have every movie we've done, I believe in the last 3-4 years here is on Dust. Yeah. Which is awesome, because that gives us a chance too to throw our videos on the internet and just bathe in either the praise or the anger.
Yeah, we're making so much money off of these movies. It's disgusting.
So much. Oh my god! Yeah. The other night I was at Taco Bell and I said, you know what? Tonight I'm gonna get a fourth item. I only get 3 normally, but it was a wild night and I was feeling it.
You guys,
it was a mistake. We never go past 3 items at Taco Bell. That's the golden rule.
Hey, I don't like those.
Doesn't matter how hungry you are.
Man, those are just like White Castle's anal rockets.
Oh yeah, I grew up in town was called Morris, but it was it's like an hour south Chicago, but we had plenty of White Castles around, and that was always my dad's thing. My sisters both did dance, so after their dance recitals, like they did all this work and they deserved to be, it was like their night. So, and I was just a bum, like there. My treat for the night was that my dad would take me to White Castle. We'd all split a crazy case on the way home.
All right.
So,
you guys, thank you so much for coming on. I had a blast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Sorry that my closing thought was about it wasn't some great film thing. It was just yeah, man, and that's how I avoided diarrhea from white kids.
Robin, you're getting a very insightful view into what this actual professional relationship is. This is what it's like on set.
That's what it's like. Yeah. That's why I keep it light and fun. But just to throw it back to you though, Robin, thank you, because anytime anyone asks us about our work or wants to interview us, we're always like, really? You want to talk? Okay, yeah, we'll talk to you.
Exactly.
So thank you for, putting it out. I was listening, once you messaged me, I've been listening to the podcast, just a bunch of episodes. Teddy and his wife were on just recently with their film Ride or Die, which, we've seen their stuff at FilmQuest, and they're great filmmakers. So it's cool too, because it expands the community, and you see these films at, this festival, and then, you're together at this other festival. It's almost like you are touring as a band with all these other films, and I don't know, it's very cool. And I think the horror community, especially, you see that a lot more in. So thank you.
Thank you. And everybody have a great evening.